Eventually in your sales career, you're going to hit a maximum effectiveness at winning business. You can't squeeze any more blood from a stone, the old saying goes. But that doesn't mean that you are stuck where you're at. That doesn't mean that you can't close more deals and you can't cram more into your day. But if you do want to drive more deals at this point, you've got to increase your throughput of sales leads. And that means boosting your sales productivity by using the 7 techniques that we're going to talk about in this very video. Hi, my name is Will and I make selling simple. Now today we're going to talk about sales productivity, what you can do to increase lead generation, minimize distraction and maximize your lead quality so you can bring more deals into your pipeline and of course so you can get more deals done. And to do all of that, all it takes is using the 7 proven sales productivity techniques. This is reverse engineering your goals, measuring your progress relentlessly, time blocking religiously, leveraging Parkinsons Law to trim some of the fat off your schedule, learning how to say no to the major time wasters that we all face as B2B salespeople, prioritizing the real revenue generators that are in your business, and last but not least, qualifying your leads harder than ever before. So, are you ready to break through your earning plateau? Well, let's jump into it. So let's first start off with reverse engineering your goals, mainly here your financial goals. So forget your sales quota, forget all that kind of stuff for the moment. What are you actually shooting for? Is it your dream mega detached house? Do you trying to get your kids sent off to college? Do you want this isn't particularly ridiculous expensive, but do you want a smart watch, an Omega, a Rolex, something like that? What is it that you want? Because I want you to take your goals, jot them down on a pen and paper, and now it's time to reverse engineering, to work backwards from your goals as opposed to your sales target. So start with how much extra income you need to afford these goals within a specific period of time, 12, 18 months or so. And then break that down into weekly, into even freaking daily, if you can manage it, commission goals. Now, that's the easy bit. That's the fun bit. That's the bit where everyone starts to visualize and fantasize about all these wonderful, both material objects that they can bring into their life. And, maybe it's holidays, maybe it's looking after relatives, whatever it is. Maybe there's some less material things that we're aiming for here. But the work is not done yet. Now you've got to do the slightly boring, but just as important bit. You've got to take your sales success rate and work backwards from that to determine how much outreach you need to do every week to hit these numbers. So let's say you've got a close rate of 5%, and each deal nets you an extra $1,000. Well, you've got to find 660 new prospects to achieve this financial goal. So that boils down to 13 new prospects a week, which is actually surprisingly manageable. And best of all, you're always going to know when you're on the right track to that brand new house, car, GTR, Ferrari, whatever you're aiming for. Because all you're going to do is tick off the box of 13 calls a week, 13 calls a week, 13 calls a week until you get there. Next up in our productivity tips is measuring progress. Because like the first step, if you're not measuring and you're keeping track of things, you have no idea if 1, you're actually being productive, and 2, if over time with some of this stuff we're talking about in today's video, over time if you're going to become more productive. You don't know if you're just spinning your wheel, you're living this hamster life of you're just running around in this wheel over and over, hoping for something to happen. You don't know if that's the case, or if you're building what we talk about all the time on this channel and in Salesman Made Simple Academy, the sales flywheel, where you get this big heavy wheel turning and it's slow and difficult to get moving at first, but once it does start spinning, it has almost a momentum and a life of its own. That's how we lead to success. Spinning on the hamster wheel, going nowhere is how we fail. So, what should we do? What the heck should we be measuring? We need to measure our key stats relentlessly. At a bare minimum here, and I emphasize minimum, we need to be keeping track of the following things on a weekly basis. Prospects added to your list, brand new prospects. Emails and sales cadences that you've started with these prospects. The number of meetings booked, demos completed, sales closed, and also, this is really valuable to track over time, your average deal cycle length. Because the more we can compress these, even with the same number of prospects, we can get more of them through our pipeline faster. And when you've got these numbers at your fingertips, you can keep track of much larger trends as well. You can see if or how you're improving and even spot shifts in an industry before they become a problem. If your deal cycle lengths right now are getting longer and longer because everyone in the media and everyone's banging on about this incoming pending doom of a recession, then you can keep track of that and you can use this to your advantage. You can understand that, well, if your deal cycle lengths are getting longer, you need more pipeline coming in at the front end to get the same number of deals out over the medium term, the other side of things. This is simple to do, but nobody freaking does it. It does my head in. It's the first part of Salesman Made Simple Academy. We get you to understand your numbers. That's the most important part of the training as far as I'm concerned, because again, Unless you know what you've got, where you're going, you don't know if you're going to be able to get to these end financial goals that we all have. Whew. Well, that is, you can see how much I get wound up about not knowing the numbers. And with that, we'll move on to step number 3, which is blocking your time religiously. And this one takes a little bit of practice, but the productivity payoff here is substantial. So for every single one of your important tasks, including understanding your numbers on a weekly, monthly, and quarterly basis, you need to assign a time block in your calendar. So maybe you should be prospecting for 2 hours a day. Well, time block 8 till 10 in the morning in your diary. Then if you know there's real value in following up leads in the pipeline, schedule an hour from that, say 1 to 2 after you've had your lunch. Demos should be at the same time every day, perhaps 3 till 5. And then whatever else you need to do during the day, and these are typically for salespeople, important but not urgent tasks, as in you probably do need to reply to that email from HR, your boss, whoever it is, but you're not going to make money by doing it. They can fit in through the few slots that are around these time-blocked periods. Now, the tricky part isn't putting this into your calendar. That's the easy bit, right? The tricky part is not wavering on this. You're going to want to answer urgent emails that come in. You're going to want to pick up the phone if a prospect calls during, in between 2 or 3 of your demos. You're going to want to multitask and shift your focus around all these different places. But that's exactly when all of this falls apart. The more systematic you can be with your time blocking, especially when you know your numbers, all of this falls into place and it makes selling so much more simple to have and reach success. So instead of being all over the place, be single-minded, be focused. Only focus on that one single task and that one task alone until the time period is over. And of course, you're gonna have to make a little bit of adjustment here, but you're gonna become 2-3 times more productive once you implement this alone. Next, we've got Parkinsons Law. So let me ask you this. Have you ever heard the saying that a goldfish grows as big as its tank allows? Well, this is the same for the time that you spend on your sales tasks. If you give yourself 3 hours to do some bullshit report or to create a new email sequence, whatever it is, it's going to take you 3 hours and then probably a little bit more to complete it, even if it should have taken 1 hour or 2. And this is because humans are great at following the path of least resistance. And if you're spending more time than you should on something, it's because your deadlines have been set incorrectly. This is where Parkinson's Law, which is the time required to perform a task, tends to extend to all of the available time to perform it, which essentially means if you give yourself 3 hours to do a 1 hour task, it'll take 3 hours. If you give yourself 1 hour to do a 3 hour task, somehow, magically, you get to cram it all into that 1 hour and it's probably going to be just as good. So to leverage Parkinson's Law, you need to reduce the time that you're giving yourself for projects. If a project comes together and it's not as good as what you expected, well, ask for forgiveness rather than permission. And next time, just make it a little bit longer. Usually this is for the better because you're going to get more done. Your goals and standards, and this is me as a ex-procrastinator, right? My goals are so high that I'd procrastinate on even getting started when nobody else cared about any of the work that I was doing and the quality that I was putting in. If I wanted to reach a 95% quality rate in my email, the business content that we produce, whatever it is, well, it turns out most people are happy when I produce 70% level content. They don't care about the extra 10%, 20% or so. And the difference in time is magnificent between going out something and getting it done at 70% quality rate and spending 3 hours being overdue, pissing people off and getting it done at that 90-95 rate. And on top of all of this, you may consider just not doing that task at all and see if anyone even notices or complains. You'll be surprised at how much time we spend at work in our B2B sales roles doing just busy work, just crap that no one cares about. And if you just don't do it, and you don't do it often enough, people will stop asking you to do these stupid reports and all that kind of stuff. Everything, and I always say this all the time on our Salad Made Simple Academy coaching calls, right? Everything is forgiven if you smash your quota. Almost everything, barring murdering a few of your competitors to increase the percentage chance of you closing deals with their customers. Other than straight out murder, most stuff is forgiven when you smash your quota. Number 5 is a powerful one. I want you to learn how to say no. No gives clear boundaries, and it stops clients, colleagues, and even unreasonable bosses from just frankly walking all over you. And I guarantee you, if you just say it a few more times each day, you're going to save, just from saying it 1, 2, 3 more times a day, you're going to save literally hours and hours of time each and every week. And remember this, your time is valuable, and so you need to treat it as such. Which brings us on to number 6, prioritizing the real revenue generators in your business. So think of your sales role as a business. I know this is kind of cliche, and crappy sales managers will tell you to have an entrepreneurial mindset when you're doing sales. But if you think about your sales job, your territory as a business, well, your business isn't going to die if your accounts are a little bit late. It's not going to die if you check your emails tomorrow morning rather than at 10 o'clock at night. It's not going to die if you spend a little bit less time on one smaller prospect versus on a bigger one. But do you know what will cause your little business to die? Neglecting to create a sustainable pipeline. Not moving prospects through your pipeline. Not closing on time. Not being assertive in asking for the deal. Not driving freaking revenue. That's what leads companies to die, businesses to die. And there are certain tasks that are really unquestionably essential to bringing in the dough. And there are, of course, other tasks that can wait until later or just never. So make sure that a good amount of your time each day is being spent on the former and do less of the crappy stuff that no one cares about. And again, this ties into time blocking, prioritizing, and knowing your numbers as well. And last but not least, I want you to qualify your leads harder, because one of the best lessons you're going to learn in your sales career is, well, not every sales lead is, one, actually a sales lead, and two, probably not worth spending your time on. The sooner you recognize the leads in your pipeline that you're going to win business from and they're going to do bigger deals from quicker, the more likely you are to smash your quota. That means you need to qualify your buyers more. Because when you get the right lead, right, and I know this, I experience this all the time selling Salesman Academy to our enterprise clients, right? There's tons of large organizations that have us coming to do their training now. Well, when you get in front of a good prospect and they already know, like, and trust you, and you've done all the hard work up front by building content, working for a great company that has a great product, all this kind of stuff, well, you're going to spend way less time explaining the value that you offer. You're going to get way fewer sales objections, and closing becomes a really nice experience where you go, okay, so that's what we do. This is what it's going to cost you. Here's the ROI and what you're going to spend. Does it make sense to get the contract signed later today and start moving forward with this? That's what closing becomes. It's not a back and forth. It's not a fight. It's not a battle. You're not negotiating here. And that means you can spend, when all of this is so simple, you can spend more of your day bringing in more clients into your pipeline, and you're going to do more better deals on the back of it. And if you're not qualifying your prospects right now, use BANT. This is it's perhaps not the most effective, but it's the quickest, easiest qualification framework to put together. First off, budget. Do you understand the buyer's budget? Does it match up with your price? Next up, authority. Does the person that you're speaking to, the sales lead, have the power to make decisions, or are they just some end user who's gathering pricing and data to hand over to the boss at some point so a deal can be done maybe in the future? Next up, do they have a need? This is so overlooked by B2B salespeople. Yes, of course, they could probably buy your product, but do they actually need it? And then finally, time frame. So that's BANT, time frame. Is it within a time frame that's worth you doing a deal with them? So you can use BANT to do more qualifying, and the more time that you spend qualifying up front, the less time you're going to spend with bad leads that are never going to be a fit at the end or the middle of the sales process. And this is all so important, Sales Nation, because you can only do so much to improve your closing rates. And at some point, when you become efficient, when you get signed up to Salesman Academy, which you can find in the link below this video, well, you're going to hit a bit of a soft ceiling here, a bit of a maximum as to the closing rate of the prospects that you bring through your pipeline. And that's when you're going to put your productivity efforts up to generate more leads, time to deal with them, and opportunity to get deals done. And you can do this by reverse engineering your goals, measuring your progress relentlessly, time blocking religiously, leveraging Parkinsons Law to trim some of the fat off your schedule, learning to say no to everyone, time wasters and otherwise. You want to prioritize the real revenue generators in your business. Finally, you need to qualify your leads harder. The quickest way to do this is to use BANT: budget, authority, need, and time frame. And soon enough, you're going to see your pipeline improving in quality. You can have more ready to buy leads, and you're going to have no problem closing. So there we go. If you enjoyed this video, why not click the video that's on the screen right now and continue making selling